Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we even start anything, I just want to acknowledge we realize that the agenda didn't come out on Friday on the website. We were fully aware of it, so there's no need to come up and say, you didn't have it on Friday. We got it. We understand. It was up on Facebook as to what the agenda was. You didn't have the particulars. We're fully aware. No need to remind us of the glitch. It was a small little glitch. It's all it was. Thank you so much. Okay. Can we have the roll call, please?
Councilwoman Albrecht.
Here.
Councilman Mazzella.
Here.
Councilman O'Hanlon.
Here.
Councilman Reifenberg.
Here.
Supervisor Del Vecchio.
Okay, I'm here.
Town Attorney Emily Svensson.
Here.
All present.
Thank you very much. Adoption of the agenda as is, or do we have any special considerations?
There's two items I think that we need to add. So I'll make a motion that we add two items under items for special consideration. One would be the resolution involving John Fumo to allow him
Which
for.
we just received, right?
Yeah, which we just received that. So I'll make a motion for that, and I'll do them individually.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
And the second item under special consideration is really just a discussionary item for the community garden club.
Okay. You
Second.
want your old business? Or just, where do you want it?
It's got to go under items of special
Yeah,
consideration.
it's got to go under items, but it's just a discussionary piece. We're not voting on anything, we're just talking about it.
So let me just make these notes. So you made the motion?
Yep.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Fumo. Garden. Okay. So, do we start with the
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Mary, do I read this now first, even though it's for the second one, or do I?
No.
Right, so
We just reopen that.
we're reopening the public hearing and the continuation of the Bodna Fund subdivision. So if anyone would like to get up and speak on that?
I'll make
May
one.
I?
Do we have to motion to open the
I
floor?
don't
Or
think
is
so.
it
I
already
think this is
open,
still
right?
open, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still open.
Okay.
Or no, I think we're reopening it, right?
No, this is being
Oh,
continued.
continuation.
Continuation.
Oh, okay, I'm
This is a
sorry.
continuation,
Yeah.
so anyone here would like to speak on the continuation of the Bodnar Fund subdivision? This is your opportunity.
Can I just comment a little bit? So we will not be closing this hearing tonight. We'll be continuing it to the next meeting. We're still awaiting the planning board's official advice to the town board on this matter. I think they did discuss it, but we haven't yet received their advice. And so at the next meeting, we'll have more material, and also the applicant will be here to discuss the matter. So right now, we're just going to take any comments that people want to offer tonight and then continue it to the next meeting.
So the floor is yours. Anyone? Not seeing or hearing any? I move that we close that discussion.
Second.
Well, we don't want to close it, right?
We're not
So-
closing the
We're
hearing.
adjourning it
We're
to
adjourning it
the
to
17th.
the 17th.
I'll second that too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And now I read it, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I am in receipt of the affidavit of posting pertaining to the resolution commencing the local law adoption process for the proposed local law of 2023, a local law amending the senior citizens tax exemption income level. So, this is a public hearing based on, we're opening up, right? For the local law of 2023 entitled, a local law amending the senior citizens tax exemption income level. Would anyone like to speak on that?
I'll make a motion that we open that public hearing.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Anyone? Okay.
Well, I would actually like to see that income cap a little bit higher than it is because it's pretty doggone low, but I believe these are pretty much set by the state, so we have to go with it.
The floor is yours on this matter. Anybody? Hit the button. What's your name again?
I don't know. I forgot it. Gary Peters, Old Point Turnpike, Pleasant Valley. Thank you for considering it, seeing that I'm probably one of the oldest people here, so I thank you for considering it.
Thank you. So we can close this one? So without hearing any further discussion on the amending the senior citizens tax exemption income level, I move that we close the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
We are in receipt and acceptance of the minutes of the regular town board meeting on 3/20/23 and the special town board meeting on 3/20/22/23. Do I hear a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All official correspondence is on file at the town clerk's office. So tonight we have our quarterly reports from our department heads. So we have a few presentations. And this is pushed off about a week or so due to how busy we were on the last one, so we pushed it to this week. So first presentations we would have, if they're here, any presentations from our county legislators. I believe they're caucusing tonight.
Yeah, they sent us a text. They won't. I don't
So
think
they
they're gonna
can't
make it.
make it, right. The assessor's report, which I have in front of me, from Garth Slocum, our assessor. In February, we were inundated with calls and walk-ins precipitated by the new second notice requirement informing taxpayers that the law income senior exemption is available to those qualifying. The office is currently concentrating on exemption review and the necessary changes to the 2023 assessment roll. Routine calls and inquiries continue to come in. Mostly these are regarding taxes, exemptions, and potential home buyers. That was from our assessor. Our zoning report. We don't have a zoning administrator at this present time, so we will be pushing that off as well. Highway report. Mr. John Baxter.
Good evening, everybody. Wow, it's really loud. How is everybody tonight? Good, I hope. So my highway report. As everybody kind of knows, our winter really was not that bad this year, thankfully. But for me, it's a double-edged sword because not having any frost in the ground means we end up having more plow damage than usual whenever we do go out and plow. So that being said, we've really only had like 5 storms that significantly impacted us, and most of it was ice. I think we were somewhere between a 1.5 foot of snow this year of accumulation. I know our surrounding towns, some of them got hammered, but we still thankfully live in the Pleasant Valley bubble where we get kind of protected, being the little valley we're in. So anyway, like I said, we do have some winter damage out there. The guys are out, gonna be taking care of that, getting everything raked out, and getting the salt and the sand out. So far this year, I've issued 4 new driveway permits. Actually, it's 5 because I issued a new one today. So it's 5 today. I've certified and closed 2. The electronic disposal. So with the new legislation, the electronic disposal at all transfer stations is free of charge. So now what the company does is they used to charge us, and then we pay whatever they told us to pay them. Now they just come and get it for free, and they have to figure it out, and they bill, whether it's Sony or Panasonic or Magnavox, they bill that company separately for the disposal of whatever their product is. So no transfer stations in New York State should be charging for any kind of electronics. Computers, TVs, doesn't matter how big, how small, from a mouse to a 90-inch TV, it doesn't matter. It's all free to the public. What else I got here? I wanted to once again thank the town board real quick for the new heater in the garage. The old heater that's still there hasn't turned on at all, pretty much all winter. So this one's been a godsend, so thank you very much. Spring is finally here, we believe, with the cold weather. I know it was kind of hard to tell the last couple of mornings. It would be like 20-something degrees outside. So we started doing the sidewalks on the 27th of March, getting all the salt and sand off the sidewalks, getting ready for the water truck. We started our street sweeping today. For all those who may or may not have seen the street sweeper out, when you do see the sweeper, please use caution because they go slow and they're kind of big and wide and they make turns in the road. So just use caution when you're going by the street sweeper. The raking. I've worked over the winter with Dutchess County Soil and Water, as well as the New York State DEC and Dutchess County, which is Region 3 DEC, to help kind of dress up the dam in Salt Point. Got a lot of scrub brush. It's making it difficult for the fire apparatus to get in there to get to the dry hydrant. So I've got everything I need and all the OKs and yeses, so we can go in and get that cleaned up and make that look nice. Going to backplate it, flatten it out. And then hopefully be able to get it paved sometime in the future to make it more accessible, even for the fishermen that like to go in there. Be a little nicer, do some erosion control with some grass seed and stuff like that. That being said, we were out on the 28th with New York DEC Dam Safety. We inspected the dam. Dam looks good. I'll have the report within the next 30 days, and I'll present that to the board when I get that from New York State. And I'm also still working on the permits for the erosion control down here at Katie Field. If anybody's looked behind the pavilion, there's a significant loss of real estate. We have a couple of big trees that are in jeopardy. So once I get those permits, my plan is to be able to get back there hopefully and do a little erosion mitigation back there so we don't lose Katie Field. We don't lose, if we lose too much more real estate back there, you could lose part of the pavilion too, because it's, if it gets undermined, it'll be trouble. So we're working on that. Just want to remind everybody, New York State has the burn ban in until May 15th. I know it's crazy, and every year I get about 15 people ask me why, because it's so wet out. It is wet, but everything's also still dead and dry from the wintertime, so that's why it burns so good, even though we get the rain and stuff. So please, if you're going to burn, it's got to be in a contained unit. It should have a screen on the top. It's one of the fires I hate fighting the worst are grass fires. And starting April 10th, we go into our 10-hour days at the highway garage. So we do the 10-hour 4 days a week. That's pretty much it. Any questions for me?
What are those dates the burn ban starts?
So the burn ban started on March 15th and ends goes through May 14th. So officially May 15th is, the midnight on the, on the 15th is, when it actually stops. So, yep.
And do you need us to post that on our sign off?
You can if you want. I have it up on the web, on the Facebook page. I know New York State puts it all over the place. It's up on the bulletin boards at the firehouse. If you want to put it up in the sign out front, that'd be great. It's just another reminder to people. That being said, just a little caveat to that is ag real estate, so farms and farmland, they are still allowed to burn their winter brush to get ready for their planting season. So if you see a farmer with a pile of brush burning, don't call, yelling, and screaming. They're covered under the ag exemption to be able to still burn. So,
Anyone else? Any questions? Thank you, John.
thanks.
This time we'd like to have our rec director, Sandra Coe.
Good evening. I did cut it down.
Good.
I got rid of some. We started a part-time recreation clerk, Kristen Hannon, and she's doing a great job. She hit the ground running. And we have Nikki, who's also been there for a while, who's also helping train her. So I think we're in pretty good shape. Fall-winter youth basketball program, we finished March 24th with our annual coaches game. This was the first season back after COVID. We play games with Beekman Basketball League. Unfortunately, we never obtained permission to utilize BOCES Salt Point Gym. I'm hoping that maybe we'll be able to use the new gym in the new building next season. So I want to thank all our coaches for their time and dedication to the basketball program. Without their help, there would be no youth league. And to thank our basketball director, Rich Chapman. Spring soccer registration has ended for both in-house and our intertown league. The registration closed very quickly after it opened because we filled up right away. We have a whopping 16 full team rosters for our in-house and 5 for our intertown league. The size of our league is limited by the number of volunteers that come forward, donating their time, dedication, and energy coaching. So if you know anyone who would like to volunteer next season, have them contact our soccer director or call the rec office. And kudos to Tracy Santiago, our soccer director, for all her hard work. The senior program. Lisa Aravena, our senior citizen recreation activity specialist, a mouthful, has been busy traveling with our seniors. So far, they have gone to Resorts World Catskills, which was a casino trip, and St. Patrick's Day Festival at Silver Birches. Currently, there's just a handful of reservations available for the Motown trip, which is going to be Villa Roma in May. We've grown to almost 100 registrants. A big thank you to Lisa Aravena and Tony Miller for their hard work. The weekly drop-in is every Friday at 10 a.m. Why not pass by and make new friends and visit with old ones? Pickleball. Pickleball has been a great success. The winter program ended, and we've already started our spring program. We're still indoors at LMS. And we're lucky to have Teresa Aravena, who's a really experienced pickleball player, running the program. It'll continue through, I believe, the end of June. Egg hunt. We missed you. We had our annual egg hunt this past Sunday to the largest number of participants ever, even though it was rescheduled from Saturday. So it was really cute seeing the kids running around, grabbing up all the eggs. Bower Park. Currently, Jason is locking the gate at dusk, and he opens it up at 8 a.m. And I think it's been going pretty good. He's actually had a couple of people thank him for doing that. So, the tennis court. Craftco had finished the work on the Helen Aldrich Trent tennis court this fall. The court is open. We've had people were there all day today. So, it's really getting utilized. With the addition of the 2 pickleball court lines, we'll probably have some kind of a drop-in program for the summer up there, as long as I can post a schedule and everybody plays nice in the sandbox. The MOU, that's the agreement with Arlington Central School District, and I know we just spoke before the meeting. Somebody finally got back to you?
Finally. And they sent me back down the ladder.
Did Bodnar ever talk to you? Peter Bodnar?
Yes, we did talk. And he directed me one way, and I went that way, and then that person redirected me down. So that's the next step. I know. And it's basically back where we started.
Okay. I still have that intern, Matthew Cross, who comes and volunteers a couple of hours once or twice a month at the rec department, and they're looking for some kind of an intern program for him this year. Summer Volleyball League, we plan on having a summer outdoor league. Superintendent Baxter and his crew will be working on the outdoor court in the next month or so to get us up and going, and hopefully we'll get all the towns back together again. Nikki's been working on that, trying to get some responses. Camp Sunny Days, registration is open. It's our 3 two-week sessions. and we will be offering the drop-off and late pickup. The camp starts June 26th and ends August 4th. Registration will be opening soon for soccer camp, which will be Coach Jensen and her crew at Bauer Park. Basketball camp will be Coach Laffin, and we will be at LMS this year. And that camp will be July 24th through July 28th. Summer hoops will be back again. That's a drop-in basketball program up at Helen Aldridge. The Helen Aldridge Depression. We will be doing the final touches on the depression when we add the topsoil and the hydro seeding sometime this spring, so we really can't wait for that to happen. The basketball court and the parking lot up at Helen Aldridge. We had discussed during the budget last year about having the court resurfaced, and it turns out that Field Turf, who actually did the tennis court, can also do the basketball court, and they're on the OGS website. They also are on the OGS website for the Helen Aldridge parking lot for doing the seal coating. So I have the representative coming out within the next week or two to look at both of them and then hopefully give us some kind of an estimate. But I was thinking more towards the fall, once summer camp is over with. But I'll have to see what he has to say. That's it. Please visit the PV Rec website for updates on all our programs, and you could also call the office at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I skipped right over the town clerk's report. It's these glasses. I don't have my glasses, I can't find my glasses, and Mary Beth gave me these. Ladies, cheaters. Yeah.
Good evening. So my report stems from January 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2023. So we had 199 dog renewals, 1 dog seizure fee. We had 2 marriage licenses, 11 marriage transcripts, 115 death transcripts, 18 fishing licenses, 1 return check fee. Total monies to the supervisor for the quarter was $4,135.84. Total monies to New York State was $1,005.16. And my office did 16 notaries. The transfer station. Please note these amounts just reflect the income of the refuse ticket sales. This does not include any expenses that the transfer station has incurred. So in January, the sales were $5,422. February, $4,236. March, $5,376. So total so far collected was $15,034. Tax collection. So the total warrant has been paid to the town. That warrant was $4,918,777.71. As of today, total taxes collected to date was 3,197 parcels. That added up to $8,126,981.70. Total taxes uncollected to date is 206 parcels. That adds up to $880,690.61. Total paid to Dutchess County Commissioner of Finance so far is $2.7 million. We had 2 return checks. We enter into the 3rd% penalty phase starting April 1st through April 30th. May 1st, second notices go out, and then we will be entered into the 4th% penalty phase. Last day of tax collection is May 31st, 2023, but postmark will still be accepted. The office has done 26 handicap tags, and since my last report, along with planning and zoning and building, we've had 22 FOIL requests, and there is 1 pending. So I'd like to give a big shout out to Matt Cady. He removed the broken glass from the internal flame at the mill site, shrink wrapped it so no one would get hurt from the broken part pieces. After some research, it was discovered the Eternal Flames components are obsolete, so we are looking into capping off the gas line and having the Eternal Flame LED light bulb installed instead. This will be more cost-effective and easier to maintain and replace when needed. I have seen these bulbs, and they look just like a flame. As soon as the cameras are installed, we will pursue this avenue of replacing the Eternal Flame. I'd like to give a big thank you to the town board for voting unanimously to approve the vests for our court constables. They are our last line of defense and ready to protect our judges, our court clerks, employees, and all who enter town hall. So to Ron, Tony, Michael, Ray, Samantha, and Tyler, we just want to say thank you for all you do, sometimes facing extraordinary circumstances and acting with courage, honor, and self-sacrifice. Please join us on Monday, April 17th, at our regular town board meeting in honoring Donnie Howe and his family for the dedication of Howe Park. You will learn the history of Field 2 on South Avenue and how recreation became a vision and a creation as part of the town. The transfer station. Just as a reminder, all town offices will be closed this coming Friday in observance of Good Friday. The transfer station will remain open for their normal hours on Friday and Saturday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you, Butch and Tom. I'm very proud of my deputies, Kathy and Debbie. My office strives to give back to the community every day, and I'm truly blessed to have a great staff. Thank you for your time.
I noticed that we had one of our county legislators, Deirdre Housen, come in. So seeing that we haven't gotten out of this segment, we'll go back to the top.
Thank you. Sorry I was late. I was at another meeting in Poughkeepsie. Just a few things I wanted to highlight for you guys going on in the county. We had on our agenda for last month, and we tabled it, and we are going to relay on the desk a resolution expanding the exemptions for seniors in the county on the county portion of their tax, as well as people who qualify for disabled benefits in the county. Similar to what we did to the veterans exemption earlier in the, well, actually last year, but it goes into effect next year. It's the same type of thing, and it's just a matter of the governor has now increased the maximum allowed benefit, so the county is looking to do that on the county portion of the tax. It's not a huge amount of money, but people on a fixed income, or as seniors are reminding me, it's not a fixed income, it's a smaller income than it's ever been, a way to help people out. And another thing we're looking at is the county is working with Wappinger Cemetery in developing a veteran cemetery. Our county does not have a veteran cemetery. They currently purchase plots at cemeteries throughout the county, but it's been very disjointed in the sense that some cemeteries allow spouses, some cemeteries don't. So the county has purchased a section of, we haven't signed a contract yet, but they're looking to purchase some land at Wappinger Cemetery and have an actual county veterans cemetery for the first time. Many counties throughout the state have them, and Dutchess County has not had one. So we're going through the logistics now of who can be buried, what does it look like, and I'll certainly bring that to you guys in May once we debate it and vote on it, but it's exciting news for the veterans of the county to have that. That's the bus shelter. I know one of the council persons reached out to me. The bus shelter is still on track. They are working currently with the owners of the Acme Plaza to get the right-of-way. They have agreed to the right-of-way because they own the property. They have agreed to the right-of-way, and so it's just in the legal handlings of getting the right-of-way done, and it's still on track to be done before the end of the year. So if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, but other than that, just wanted to stop in and say hi.
I tried catching you guys last meeting. We were talking about proposing a law for exemptions for volunteer firefighters, and we had tabled it and not started the process yet because one of the things was how the town would keep track of that. And I know the county just passed something similar to that. Do you know off the top of your head, is it the county keeping track of if they're eligible or not, or?
So to my understanding, and I can certainly get clarity
Yeah.
for you, and I will get clarity for you. My understanding is it's going to go through the fire chiefs. The fire chiefs are going to be reporting who is eligible, as far as, time of service, full-time, those kind of things.
Okay.
But I'll get clarity for you, and I'll have it sent over.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Deirdre. Okay. This time, we'd like to make a motion to open the meeting up to the public comment
Second?
for agenda items only. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone would like to speak on the agenda? I still say he needs entrance music. Saying.
I got hearing aids, so I didn't hear you. And if you start talking, I turn them down anyway, so. Like everybody else when I start talking. Okay. Couple things. First of all, you have on the agenda cemeteries. First of all, I would like to let you know that the cemeteries in the town, there are about 6, I think. Pete Brower should be recognized for cleaning up the one next to Briggs and the one behind the Grange Hall. He has worked diligently cleaning them up. There's another one off of Fox Run, which is a Revolutionary War cemetery. I have been working on that one for about 2 years and have had recognition from the Revolutionary War Commission that now recognizes that as a Revolutionary War cemetery. It is probably, I'm very sure that it is the oldest cemetery in the town. It's called the Badgley Ground, and it's a family cemetery, and Anthony Badgley was a captain in the Revolutionary War from Dutchess County 3rd Regiment. That has been I've really enjoyed cleaning that one up. I have gone past it many years, and I kept looking at it and saying, somebody should clean that up. Well, finally, for some reason, I drove past it one day, and I said, 2 years ago, I said, I guess I'm somebody. So I have enjoyed cleaning that cemetery, and got a ways to go, but at least we're gaining. There are 49 graves in there. I have identified 24 of them so far. It was pretty run down, and the stones, a lot of them I haven't found yet, but they're overgrown. And it's been fun, but there are new rules that you're going to bring up regarding cemeteries, so I would like to, at this point, I will continue cleaning it until whatever you pass comes to fruition, and I can look at that. Okay. Transfer station, that's not on the agenda, sorry. Hey, there's that one, there's that one. I guess the rest of them are for later.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much, sir. Anyone else? Not seeing or hearing anyone, I move, yes, sir?
John Dunn, Netherwood Road. Since we don't have a zoning administrator to give a report, I would like to mention one thing, and that is, at our last meeting, I don't know how well publicized this was, but a company called East Point Energy wanted to create a lithium battery storage up on 12 Pleasant View Road. And I've got to give a lot of credit to the neighbors up there as well as my board, because in order to do that, these people had to be considered a public utility. And we questioned, apparently they didn't know that, I don't think they knew, that the pipeline, the Iroquois pipeline, ran under that land. And I don't know if anybody has ever seen a lithium battery fire, but it is horrendous. And our fire company had strongly recommended against this. We voted 7-0 against this. And there was a concern because this East Point Energy was a large company located in Virginia, but had since been bought by one of the largest utilities in Europe, in Norway. We were concerned that even though we felt all of our I's were dotted and all of our T's were crossed, that there may be some repercussions. We received a letter the other day from East Point Energy saying that they had decided not to pursue locating that lithium battery. I believe that would be the first in New York State. The idea was to put it fairly simply, buy power from Central Hudson on the cheap. When there was a high demand for power, they were going to store it in all their batteries. When there was a high demand for power, they would sell it back. And fine, that's capitalism, that's making a profit, and that's fine and dandy. But the concern was that it was at the entrance of development with maybe 50 homes. And it was right at the beginning of that entrance, the only entrance to that. And my board did an excellent job of research, and we just felt that under no circumstances could this be considered a utility because they did not generate electricity. They merely bought it, stored it, and wanted to sell it back. So I'd like to give credit to the board. A number of residents of the area were very concerned, and they gave testimony as well. And the fire company also, who strongly recommended against it. So I just thought that there wasn't much publicity about it, and that's fine and dandy, but I think it was it would have set a precedent. And we didn't want to do that, and we didn't think it was a safe idea. So that said, thank you.
John. Thank you for filling this in. Anyone else? Topic on the agenda? Not seeing or hearing any more. I move we close the meeting to the public.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. New business discussion. So seeing that we're talking about cemeteries, I have this on the agenda. So recently, myself and Councilman Reifenberg, we were supposed to have a few more, but other things changed, went down to the Association of Towns. and one of the classes that I attended was about abandoned cemeteries. And I wanted to learn about this because we have a couple, and what the rules are about cemeteries that are abandoned. So I brought back some information. I hope the board had a chance to read through or thumb through some of it. It's very interesting. It's an interesting read. If anyone would like a copy, I have them. Basically, in a nutshell, I'm not going to bore you, that what actually deems a cemetery to be abandoned, and that's basically any committee that was established to maintain the cemetery in the past has disbanded, and there's no longer anybody together, and there's no money in whatever their account was to take care of the cemetery. That leads us to the next problem. So it's abandoned. And one of the things Mr. Veeder is a little concerned, I was concerned about from both Mr. Veeder and Mr. Brower, was that when a cemetery is abandoned, the people taking care of it become responsible for it, and that becomes a liability. So not only would the town be subject to a liable suit, but also the person taking care of it. So there's some little things in this pamphlet. We should really figure out what we want to do. We have to identify next of which ones that are actually abandoned. This is the most important piece, because if there is anything that would even suggest that the committee is still alive and functioning of some sort, that it's not considered abandoned, that means it's not the responsibility of the town. So that has to be determined now for the 6 cemeteries that we have in our town. The ones that aren't abandoned, they become our responsibility, that's automatic. The ones that are not abandoned and still open, there is provisions with this New York State Tug Hill Commission that helps those committees to stay alive and keep it going, because they don't want them to be abandoned. So we're going to look into this a little further. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. Identifying the properties first, what's abandoned and what's not, that's going to be the next step, and we can go from there. Okay, so if anyone want to chime in on anything, did anyone get a chance to thumb through it a little bit? It's fairly interesting. I know it's not the greatest topic, and for some of you, no pun intended, it's a dead issue. But it is important, and it is something that we really should consider, because there are a couple that may be soon to be abandoned. We got to take care of that.
I actually, one quick question, and maybe Emily knows. So I found it pretty crazy that New York State does not regulate burials on private properties. So especially, and I was reading through here that the municipalities are responsible for creating law that regulate that. So I'm just curious, do we have a law like that right now to regulate that? And that might be another conversation with this, is that as a town that has wells and septic tanks and all that stuff, it might be something we want to at least think about while we're
It
going
actually
down.
falls into a zoning piece, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you want to have your relatives buried on your property. Fine, but you have to set aside a certain strip of land to go through it so that any one of your other relatives can visit. So even if you sell the home,
Yeah,
the new buyers have to understand. It's pretty interesting.
yeah.
So, yeah, we'd have to set that up as
There's not much in there.
So does that mean anybody could just go out and,
well. Yeah.
No comment.
Well, I don't know if it would apply to private property, but I believe pretty much every cemetery in New York also requires that you be put in a concrete burial vault. They can't just drop your coffin in the ground anymore. Oh, Mr. Veeder's shaking his head no, he knows something I don't. Oh, okay. Okay. Because, I don't really enjoy seeing friends and relatives put in the ground, but every funeral I've been to, I would say over the last 15 years, they were in a concrete vault. But,
Well, I don't want to argue the particulars of how people actually get buried. It's just when it becomes the town's responsibility as to what our job is taking care of it. And first we're going to start off with identifying where they all are and the status of our cemeteries right now.
That pamphlet talked about encouraging functional groups to take over. Yeah, that was
And that's one of the, and they
useful
help with
idea.
that. So that's the other piece too, which is great about this, is they actually come in at our request and help those groups stay functioning, which is very important. So we want to see that. Also, new business discussion. This is something that just came across. I was speaking with our engineer, Greg Bollner, and while I was speaking to him, a young man walked in and was talking about some emergency planning for us. We have here at this town hall, and it was put in, I guess, after the last flood, storm doors, storm blockers, if you will, that have to be put on when the creek rises. Since we purchased them way back when, they've never been put on again.
Tom and Matt put them on last 2 years ago.
2 years? Oh, I'm sorry.
Szynski had them pull them out, test them when we had a flood, and the waters rose but didn't get nearly as high as we needed to. Yeah, no, they tested them.
So they need to be tested. Greg said we should be doing a practice run through every year of that. So, and almost make it like an emergency, which we may do that during one of our days where we have some trainings going on. So that was all I wanted to bring up with that. And there's a company that actually helps you identify what's working and what's not. So you may have them come along with it. New business resolutions. All right, and I believe we're out of order just temporarily on this one. So, first one, Town Board Resolution number 406, 2023, resolution adopting the proposed local law of 2022, print entitled A Local Law Repealing Chapter 95 and amending Chapter 98, Section 98-3 of Town Code with regard to outdoor storage of junk motor vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Before you vote on that, sorry. to-
Discussion.
Yes, please. So one of the things we need to take action on is the seeker environmental determination of this, which is written into the resolution. But I wanted to just bring to the board's attention, I don't think there's a lot of discussion needed because this is good for the environment generally, but that you should look through the environmental assessment form that I checked the boxes for you. It starts at page 65 of the packet. And if anyone thinks that there are any negative environmental impacts from this, now would be the time to bring that up and talk about that. Otherwise, we can certify that it would not have any environmental impacts and go ahead with the vote.
Well, I know some people are going to be really mad at me for holding this up, but actually this morning I was thinking about something that Carol Campbell said regarding this, and she's present tonight, about defining outdoor storage. And I have to say that I did not like the definition of outdoor storage in the law as written, because it says that if it's in a structure that does not have a certificate of occupancy, it's considered outdoor storage. So if you went out and paid $5,000 for one of those big soft Quonset huts with the frame and put a car that you're tearing apart and rebuilding inside it, that's still considered outdoor storage. And I kind of have to say that's not right. So I think we need to look at that again. So therefore, out of gut feeling and doing the right thing, I'm making a motion to table.
Can I just, I don't want to get out of order, but I just want to point out, and I'm not arguing with you, that there are a number of exceptions. So you are allowed to do a lot of things outdoors, including there's an exception for restoring an antique or classic car. There's exception for one motor vehicle. That's what we added the last time. You could have one unregistered motor vehicle in operable condition. So there's a number of exceptions, and all of those would be allowed outdoors. It's only that beyond those exceptions, they need to be indoors.
I just think that it still needs to be corrected as to what defines outdoor storage. Because as I said, if somebody has a soft garage up If they have a car they're working on for 5 years in there, well, you know what? It's inside the soft garage. You can't see it. It's not ugly.
So yeah, I've had this conversation before as well. I think it's one of these things. First of all, I want to thank the folks like Carol and everybody else who's reached out and had honest conversations about this. And I think we've moved definitely in the right direction from where we started. Personally, I get what you're saying, but I think we're really, first of all, the first part we need to understand is that the law that we currently have in the town is way more restrictive than the law we're about to potentially pass. So we're actually giving way more leeway than the current town code says. So, but to that point this is really, we've given so many exceptions to this. So outdoor storage. So you have a car that's an antique that you're working on or a classic car. This outdoor storage definition doesn't even matter because this law doesn't apply to that car. You have one unregistered vehicle on your property that you use for plowing or you just do whatever with it. We've even added an exception in there that we allow one unregistered car on the property, which is, you look at other towns, that's not a normal, I feel like we've done so much work to make this as inclusive to all the different situations. I mean, if we're really getting down to the fact that you have a non-classic car that's potentially being worked on in your tent that your neighbors somehow can see and complain to the zoning administrator, and then the zoning administrator somehow can see through that tent to write you a fine. I really think we're getting in the weeds with this. I think my personal opinion is we've really gone out of our way to make sure we tried to touch on everything that was concerned. I just can't see personally a situation where you don't fall under any of these exemptions, which then, if you do, this law doesn't even matter and outdoor storage doesn't matter. This is just if you have a junk motor vehicle, it needs to be stored in a garage or whatnot. And I'll give you a situation. Speaking to the previous zoning administrator, there's a property where there's a bunch of unregistered vehicles. Okay, we passed this law with a correction saying they can be stored in tents. So now that person can go out and buy 10 pop-up tents and put them on their property right next to the road and store their 30 unregistered vehicles. So there has to be some kind of give and take here. So that's my opinion. I think we've done a lot of work on this, and we've definitely made a lot of headway.
Well, Mike, I can see your point there, but also, like I just said, there are some folks that went out and bought one of those nice, big, soft Quonset huts that, I don't know if you priced them lately, but, they can run upwards of $5,000 or more for, like a 12 by 16. They're not cheap.
Yeah, and
they're pretty aesthetic looking, and, if somebody is tearing a car apart in there, I don't consider that outdoor storage. It's not, a $199 pop-up tent that you pick up at Walmart.
And nobody will give that person problems because it's inside of the
Right,
tent.
inside thing.
Nobody will know that I think we're getting in circles here.
Are you questioning the building itself, or are you questioning the actual?
The definition of outdoor storage, because it says it's outdoor storage unless it's in, let me make sure I say this right, and unless it's in a building with a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, so let me go to that point real quick. So in zoning, or building inspecting, when you go to put one of those buildings up, or those huts, or whatever you call them, you need a permit.
Not if it doesn't have a
You
floor.
need a
If
permit.
it has a floor, it's different, but if it doesn't have a floor, you don't.
Sorry, folks, I spend a lot of time in that office, and I'm gonna tell you right now, you need a permit. Okay, so if you're gonna construct one of those things, you need a permit. So that's not considered technically an outside storage. None of them are. Anything outside of your own home technically is not a permitted structure unless it's a garage.
A soft garage, unless it has a floor, is not a permitted structure. Once you put a floor in, you need a building permit.
Again, though, just to circle back okay, let's say we changed it and we said that it's just any kind of storage, how are you going to stop the person to go and put all of these unregistered vehicles into a bunch of pop-up $100 tents on their property, and how are you going to address that?
I can see your point too. This is a two-edged sword and it's tough.
I mean, I think I think we've covered most of the situations that have been brought up to us. If it's in a tent and it's in a nice $5,000 tent and it's getting broken down, nobody is going to do anything about that because nobody can prove that you even have a broken down car in your tent. This law is not going to be applied in that situation because the zoning administrator can't go on your property and look inside your $5,000 tent. So I just feel like we're really
And
getting
again,
into
I
the
want to reiterate, this law was started not for the car enthusiast. It wasn't started for the person who has the antique car and works on them. And even for the person who buys the vehicle that is a junker, so they have parts for the car that they're using. It's not for that person. This is for the person who gets a car, takes whatever part, throws the rest of the car into the side of the yard. Then he gets the next car, throws it in the side. That's what this is defending against. This law started off for that. And then we started picking at every little piece, because we do have car enthusiasts, and we respect that. And we bent over backwards for every little step of the way of that. We've even gone so far as to say that our zoning administrator wouldn't even be able to make their own determination as to which one. So it's really, I think we're beating a dead horse far too long. You could do it after, Carol, but we're at the point, excuse me?
Give her a minute on the microphone.
I would say it's not open to the public at this time.
I mean, we've had
Point of
this
order,
open.
it's not, point of order, it's not open to the public at this time. This is not,
All right, we had the public part open. I know it's like being a stickler, and I know we have a very informal thing here a lot of times, but we got to stick to our rules, and I appreciate it. So at this point, if we need to go to a roll call, let's do it. I appreciate that. Do we have to go to a roll call?
Well, I think there's
so
technically a
technically
motion
there's a
on the
motion on the
floor
floor. Is there a
to
second?
table
We
it.
already had a second.
No.
No.
Keith's motion to table it.
Oh, Keith motion.
Keith made a motion to table it.
Do we have a second on the tabling? Seeing that there's no second on the tabling, I say we go back to the original motion, which was and seconded,
Roll call, makes sense.
and roll call.
Councilwoman Albrecht.
Aye.
Councilman Reifenberg.
Aye.
Councilman Mazzella.
Aye.
Councilman O'Hanlon.
Nay.
Supervisor Del Vecchio.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And thank you all for your input, and thank you, Councilman O'Hanlon. I appreciate you bringing it up again. I don't mean to be, but, you know, we've carried this far enough, and it's time to start acting. We have too many places right now that are so again, out of compliance. Okay. Town Board Resolution 401, creation of position of part-time legislative aide to the town board.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. We can advertise for that, right? I'd like to make a motion that we advertise immediately for this position.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Town Board Resolution 402, 2023, amending the 2023 general fund budget.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 403, 2023, establishing standard workday for elected and appointed officials.
So moved.
Second?
And can I just ask, is this the amount of time that was being collected from all of us for the retirement? Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 404, 2023, extending the appointment of temporary court clerk, part-time.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
My only question is, does she know that it's till April 31st?
I think they discussed that, yeah, it's basically because we have one going on vacation and court dates going on.
I got you,
at
okay,
that time.
okay. Because when I said the end, oh, you're here with us to the end of the month, she was like, end of the month? It's just a date, I think.
I think it's just a date, yeah.
Okay.
Not a date,
It's the 30th. There's only 30 days.
Yeah, so that's, okay, so I'll make a motion that we amend this to say April 30th, not April 31st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And then do we have
And
to
all in
vote?
favor in the temporary appointment again?
Aye.
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 Town of Pleasant Valley Board Resolution 48, 2019. Oh, this is a discussion one? Okay,
Okay.
right. So, so last time we brought this up was about the use of town hall and how we should open it up again. And we found the resolution that was passed back when we had myself, Councilman Latino, Councilman Nicholson, Supervisor Figliozzi, and the work was done by Mr. Nick Becker at the time. I remember him working very hard on this. And it lays out a lot of what we had planned on doing. I believe we were using this as the template from that point on. So if you want to look at this as the most current of what was worked on, we can base everything off of there. So I would highly suggest everybody take a look at that and, digest it.
Can I ask, were we actively using this prior to COVID,
So
which
that-
led to a lot of the issues?
It's an interesting thing because I believe this was passed and we didn't really get too much.
It was back in 2008.
Well, I think that the 2008 is from the old policy.
Yeah.
And then
This
they
is
went on
2009.
to it because I wasn't
Oh,
there.
it's
until-
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think right after that, we had the election, and then we had COVID, and then it was it. So we haven't gotten back to this at all. That's why I wanted to bring it up and say, all right, let's look at this and go from there. So if anyone wants to make any amendments to this, or use this as the template to go forward, take a look at it.
Yeah, the only thing that I would say that we should button up on this would be the insurance section. I mean, it basically kind of lays out groups who need insurance should have it, but everybody should have it if they're renting our facility.
Right.
So besides that, that's the only change I think that we should make, but.
So insurance, take your time. Well, we don't have to do this right now.
Yeah, no, I figured, but that was the only
Everybody
one that
can
stood out.
actually take a look at it, and you can all chime in on it next meeting, and then we can either pass a new resolution using all of this and then go forward.
Was there, I know it's been brought up about the kitchen. Was it the health department that's given us issues about that, or?
At the present time, we can't,
Okay, so 15 would have to be removed completely
Yeah.
because it's talking about using the kitchens.
so like I said, take a look at it, digest it. All right. So that's that. Research regarding supervisor position.
Yeah, so back to this. We created the legislative aid position tonight, part-time. Obviously, when it comes to budget time in the fall for next year, we'll have to continue discussions about what that looks like in 2024, and if we decide to make that person full-time or part-time. Why I wanted to circle back to this is we've been using this full-time, part-time thing for supervisor. We use it for the town clerk, we use it for, but in all reality, we're all elected officials, and there's really nothing you could do. I mean, I'm not saying, this is definitely not you, but you could show up one day a year and collect your budget line, and there's nothing anybody could do, except, potentially not vote for that person the next time around. So I think up to this point, we've been using full-time, part-time. Probably not the best choice of words, because it doesn't really matter either way. But I think the whole point of this is so we can continue discussing this issue between now and budget time. Because in the past, what's happened is things have been changed close to elections, and it probably wasn't the right thing to do without putting it out there. So the idea about bringing this up back in like February was to put it out there that, listen, we're going to discuss this between now and budget time, and there is a potential that whoever is potentially running for supervisor for next year knows that when it comes to budget time, there might be changes, whatever the board decides to do. So I think we should take our time on this, but I also think as a board, we maybe make a motion to acknowledge that between now and budget time, we're going to look at this and we'll reevaluate it when we're doing the budget for 2024, and just put it out there officially. So if we do go and make a change, this isn't a political thing. We're trying to work together and see and figure out what's best for the town, because we can keep it the way it is now. I personally feel like it's probably not the best way. Other people obviously think differently. But if we're happy, we sit here 2 times a month and we hear people complaining about the way the town's moving forward, or things haven't been done in the last couple decades, and everybody's upset. So it's just an idea of a way of maybe we can try something new and see if it works. But, so do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I was
before
just going to say, so in the meantime, what I'm going to continue to do, and I've already started, is compiling the things that a supervisor really should be doing, things that I, for whatever reasons, cannot get to do and would like to do. And I think that's very important as well, because there's a lot of things that happen that hinder me from doing those things. So I'm going to keep compiling all the different time and the responsibilities of the supervisor, so that whoever sits in the seat in the future has a better understanding what their job description is going to be and where they should lean to, and how they should put their efforts and stay on that track. And we're trying to set this up to where we put in place the help that is needed to get to that track. And then we can make a determination to whether or not that's a full-time or part-time, not using those terms.
Yeah, and I think to your point is, I've heard in the last month or two that, maybe a lot of people are taking this as trying to water down the position of the supervisor. I think that already happened. I think up to this point, it's kind of been watered down, because we expect the supervisor to be available 8 hours a day, sitting in the office, and instead of being able to just go out and do these other things that you haven't gotten to. And a lot of other towns that operate at our size, you don't just walk in and talk to the supervisor, because the supervisor is most likely out doing something else. That's why they have a person there Monday through Friday who is that point contact to set you up with the supervisor. And hey, it might not work in our town, but until we try or rethink some of this. So I'll put a motion out there that allows the labor attorney to just do a little bit more digging into, can this even be done? Because if it can't be done, then we don't have to worry about it. To do a little bit more digging into the possibility of changing some of the way this is set up, and to officially put it out there that we are looking at potentially, if it's the right thing to do, changing the makeup of the supervisor's office for 2024 during the budget process.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Temporary signs proposal. You going to
So-
talk?
Sure. So, in your packet, I took the town's existing sign code and did a little markup for your consideration to see if this is what you're looking for. Now, here's the thing. The sign code has a lot of yes and no, and then yes and no. And so there's a whole list of things that are prohibited signs. And that list includes any sign in a town, county, or state right-of-way. And then, so those are prohibited.
Where they
And
put them all, you mean?
yeah, exactly. So what I had to do, and so I just asked for your consideration if this is what you're looking for, is to say that what's not prohibited is certain temporary signs. And then I put in the list of exempt signs that are not subject to the law, a new item that talks about temporary signs in the town right-of-way, and it specifies more about how they can only be there for 45 days, or whatever number you choose, that they can't block people's view, et cetera. Now, I don't think we can allow signs in the state highway right-of-way, because technically the state has to do that. So this whole thing got real murky real quick, and I'm not sure it's really solving the problem.
Yeah, so I know what we're trying to do here, but I went back and I was looking at the actual sign code that the town has right now. And I think if we actually enforce the sign code that we have right now, we would solve all the issues that we're all complaining about, because I believe the sign code doesn't allow any kind of temporary signs unless you come in before the planning board and get a sign permit in any right-of-way. So political signs are not allowed at the corners of roads, and the town should be enforcing and taking them down unless they want to come in and do a sign permit. So I think we've kind of solved our own problem by going back and looking at the town code. We just have to enforce that now.
If that's what you want.
So we would need somebody to actually enforce that, correct?
Yeah, because it's pretty straightforward when you read through the current
It
code.
really is. It says prohibited.
Yeah, it's
anything in the
prohibited to put
right-of-way.
anything in the right of way.
I mean, you can put up signs on your own property, that's no problem, that's allowed. But in the right-of-way, it's just not, it's not permitted.
So I remember this discussion back, I'm going to say, like the first year I was on the board. And once that discussion started to happen, we had fire department, we had St. Paul's, we had the Boy Scouts, we had, everybody came out crying against it, because that's how they make their money for the year, their fundraisers, or their chicken dinner, or their whatever it may be, going pancake breakfast, you name it, right? And so I remember this room being filled with everybody coming out saying, you can't do that to us. And I think from that point on, I don't even think we actually went any further with that. I don't think it actually came to a conclusion, because it was such a hot topic, and so many people came out and screamed out. I think it just was like one of those, don't bring it up again.
So basically, I remember a bunch of people coming here about non-for-profits and town organizations wanting to be excluded from the permit requirements of the town for the temporary signs, which I agree with. But we can't just pretend that there's a workaround and some people were going to enforce it and whatnot. So I think the best thing here is to maybe look at changing the code to maybe allow, but I don't know if it gets into, then you're picking one organization over the other, but you kind of have to do it to all or none.
Well,
But
there
I
is a
don't
whole-
believe we should be charging, these local organizations to come in and get a sign permit.
That was the thing. So once you didn't charge one organization, the other ones said, well, I'm a local organization as well. We have Climate Smart, we have this one, we have that. I mean, you go
Yes,
on and on and on.
so we really need to relook at the law overall, because it sounds to me that we
It
have
was
to,
tough.
we have to change the law, because the law right now says they have to come in for the permit. So it either we need to start requiring it, or we need to change it. I would be in favor of changing it, but we can't just not do either one.
And here at the same time, I guess this is a question for Emily. We would only have jurisdiction, for instance, of signs in the right-of-way if it's a town road, correct?
Well, technically, I mean, I don't know if it gets enforced, but technically, state highways are DOT's jurisdiction.
Yes, and, county roads are the county's jurisdiction. So if somebody wanted to put 500 political signs on Route 44 or on North Avenue or on Salt Point Turnpike, the town would have no jurisdiction over that, correct?
Well, the town might be able to prohibit things, but they cannot permit that you do something without a permit if DOT requires a permit.
Yeah,
Do you know
so
what I'm
like the town code right now says no sign shall be placed in or extended into any town, county, or state highway right of way.
Right.
So we're prohibiting that in our town code, and that's what the code says. So
And the temporary sign doesn't get you around that, right?
it does if you come in and get the proper permitting to do it.
So, John Doe's Power Washing Company puts up a sign on 44. Who goes and gets it?
Well, that has to be, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
that's what I'm
question,
saying.
is it the,
That's the,
You know?
that's the question. I mean, like,
I think there's a bigger discussion to be had
Yeah,
here,
maybe
but
just take some time
we
to-
need to rethink this because I don't know if what we are starting down right now is probably the right answer.
I don't, yeah, I was just trying to translate it, but I think, I agree with you.
Okay. So, we'll continue. To be continued. RFP for our tents for Pleasant Valley weekend.
I think there was one other.
Yeah.
public hearing signs.
Well, we have,
The public hearing signs?
Number 4.
oh, I'm sorry. That was, number 4 is old business public hearing signs.
Yeah, so that's just.
It's a different
We
thing.
have two different issues about
Oh,
signs
I'm
right
sorry.
now. It's about putting up a sign to let people know about public
Oh,
hearings.
right, I'm sorry,
right.
my bad.
So we looked through the town code and pulled out all the places where there's references to public hearings. And there's a lot of different procedures for public hearings, whether it's a ZBA hearing or a planning board. And before I inserted the language about the sign, I wanted to make sure we talked to the planning board and the ZBA about that. And I was wondering if anyone would be interested in also discussing with them the short-term rental issue, if maybe we should have a small meeting.
Put me down.
Do you want to do that?
Absolutely, 'cause I've been
Does
working
anyone
on it.
else want to be part of that, or? Mary?
Anyone else want to?
Okay, so I'll set that up with the planning board chair, and we can look at the public hearing and the short-term rental issues.
Can you also, maybe while you're having this meeting, bring up this whole temporary sign? Because that came out of the codification committee, which a lot of them were a part of.
Okay.
So it would be good to get their input or maybe ideas of how we can potentially change it.
Sure.
Now the RFP for tents for Pleasant Valley weekend.
So what I did there, Councilman Mazzella asked for an RFP for those two items, the tents and the fireworks. And I took the opportunity to make a shortened RFP form for simple services like that. And if you're happy with that form, we can use it going forward. And these need a few details filled in.
Okay.
And then they're ready to go. Just like the date it's released. Fireworks, I didn't know if there was like a duration of the fireworks show or what you want to put in there.
Oh, I got you.
But you have the Word docs on those, so you
I'll
can
get all
just
the
fill that in.
clarification, what their needs are tomorrow, and I'll have that for you anyway.
So the town board doesn't need to take any action on that.
Perfect. And when those things are filled in, we can just put it out and get
You
it done?
can, yeah, pursuant to your
We
new
gotta get to that.
procurement policy, you can just move ahead.
So there's no old business resolutions, and then items of our consideration, one of them being a resolution.
So I'll make a motion to allow the resolution that we have onto the agenda.
Anyone have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town board resolution number, would you want to give us a number, Mary Beth?
407.
407. Resolution authorizing our building inspector to fulfill zoning administrative functions while the zoning administrator position is vacant. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
And I just want to make sure Brooke was fine with this, right?
Yeah, I spoke with Brooke last week, and she wanted to be clear that we weren't asking someone to wear two
Two hats.
civil service hats at once. So, yes.
All in favor?
Aye. I'll make a motion to allow a discussion about the community garden onto the agenda.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So, we received a letter from Mrs. Jean Curley that, about use of the location specified in a prior resolution for the community garden. So, not this board, but the previous town board did vote to allow them usage of the practice field location of Field 2. If that's not where the garden wants to go, whatever to go, we just need to find them another location. But as of right now, they have use of that location.
Right. The only thing I just want to bring to this board's attention, and I don't really care where it winds up, but we do not have an agreement with that, with the school board as to where we're going to be with different things. We may need that field for something. I just would hate to let something start and we say, oh my God, then we need this field, it's the only open thing we got. I have no idea. It could be something down the future we got to look at.
Well, so I totally hear you, and this was, I think, something that I thought about before drafting the resolution 126 of 2020 was, when was the last time we used it for Little League? I mean, there's no clay there anymore. You could barely find the bases. It's all grass. I mean, it's not big enough to make an entire baseball field with because it's not deep enough. So those are things that we considered. That's why I think we picked that location, because it was a location that nobody was using for anything. Right? So might as well put some raised garden beds and fence it in, and it's a decent location, and why not? That was the thought process. Is Little League looking for this location? Are they looking to, like, they need it?
The last conversations we were having were looking for any available fields for a multitude of different things. And that was one of the reasons why I was a little hesitant to just, go ahead and say yes, because we don't know where we're going to wind up. That's the problem right now. And if I know we recently just got donated property that we really can't put a full soccer field at. Maybe we use it as two small soccer pee-wee things. I don't know. I'm not really.
Yeah. No,
Our needs are going to be greater very shortly.
Our needs are going to change I'm sure they are. I'm not denying it. The way we have a group ready to go that we've already approved 3 years ago. That I'm just like laying it out there. We have a group that we already approved. I get the concern, but I don't know. Part of me.
So Emily, do you have a copy of the item that's attached to this letter? Do you have this? I'll give you mine, because I don't need it, but they drafted up an MOU. So I'd like to make a motion to authorize the attorney to take the time to look this over and to give us comments at the next meeting.
That's not a bad idea.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to open the meeting to public comment for new business only. One topic, please. So here's the thing. You got a topic, you got 6, 7 topics, we're not going to roll through them all. One topic, something's bothering you, it's new, it's not on the agenda, let's not revisit the agenda, we did it, it's done. Let's go with a new topic.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carol Campbell, Mercer Road. I just want to remind the town board that there are 13 items on this agenda.
I'm sorry.
There are 13 items on this agenda. And to tell somebody that they can't come up here and talk about only one topic is unacceptable. I'm sorry. Okay? New and old business, agenda items only. I sit here and I listen to this board diligently talk about 13 items on this agenda. I cannot come up before those 13 items are talked about and make a comment because I don't know what the board is going to do or what they're going to talk about. So the end of the meeting is where I have an opportunity to talk about any of these 13 items. So I take offense to the fact that I wouldn't be able to do that. That's number one. Number two, when people come out of their house to come to a town board meeting, they shouldn't be told that they can only talk about one item. I'm sorry. That is unacceptable. The board is here for the residents. And if people come out and they want to talk about more than one item, they should be able to do that, and you should listen. As far as the junk car ordinance goes, I am over the moon happy about what this town has done. As a resident in this town, my board worked for me, and I am very, very happy. When it comes to outdoor storage, I was prepared to have it passed tonight with that included in it. Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate your comments. I still have the same concerns you do, but I appreciate very much that you spoke out about that. Had I been able to offer this, and I'm going to offer it to you now, number 3, outdoor storage, as it is written, is an oxymoron. I'm sorry. If you had this say, the placing, maintaining, or keeping in a building or structure with a certificate of occupancy, I would agree to that. But the fact that you say in a place other than, there is no such thing as a place other than that would require a certificate of occupancy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I was just saying thank you for lining up so we know who's coming up next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gully Stanford, 181 Marshall Road. One subject. The subject is Dutchess County BOCES. I have the honor of serving on that Board of Trustees. I'm the only one from Pleasant Valley. We've got 2, if not 3, school districts here. I'm a Hyde Park resident. We have Arlington. I'm not sure do we have part of Millbrook Schools as well? So just that, there you have it. So 3. Representing all of those, we are so proud that on April the 15th, and I know it's a conflict, I know it's an important day for the town, I think it's cleanup day, but on April 15th, we will be reopening the Dutchess County BOCES, the grand opening of the new one campus facility where we have all our schools, the Soul Point Center, the Alternative High School, the Adult Learning Institute and the Career Technical Institute all on one campus. As you go down the Soul Point Turnpike, I'm sure you've noticed it. We're very, very proud of this. 9:30 that morning, we will be cutting the ribbon, acknowledging the presence of all elected officials. We hope will join us, and celebrating with an expo. So the people of the community, and the presence is not limited to elected officials. All the community are welcome. The people of Dutchess County voted for this now 4 years ago, and it has come in on time and under budget. We're very proud of it, and we do hope, Mr. Chairman, board members, that you will join us, and hopefully you're going to be able to juggle that day so we can also honor the town cleanup day, which I believe is on the same occasion. But it's with great pride, and I'll get an electronic copy to the town clerk that can be sent to board members. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Mary Mark, Park Heights. Just real quickly, two things. We're into April. We've not fixed the ambulance budget yet, as of yet. So we're already 4 months in, and that has not been fixed yet. And also, any updated plans since the special meeting for the new town hall? Have they surfaced? It's been a month and a half.
I can answer that. We
Okay.
just had one. We're having it on the 17th is our next meeting, right? They're going to be coming back again on the 17th.
Okay, and just one quick thing, I'm with Carol Campbell. You guys sped through the new resolutions. Number 4, the establishing the standard workday for that was missing from this packet, just so you all know. So we didn't all know what you guys were even talking about.
Can I ask you a question really quick? What was
Sure.
what was the first thing you said about a budget?
The ambulance budget,
Oh, gotcha.
because that hasn't been fixed yet. But you guys sped through that, and that wasn't in here. So all of us, we didn't even know what you guys were talking about.
So just to give a quick, on that resolution.
It just wasn't in here. Okay.
It's basically establishing a basis of hours so that when people have their time calculated, in other words, you have to have a certain amount of time for retirement and stuff.
You are.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol, for everything you said. 13 items. You guys have to remember something. We voted for you. We pay your salaries. I think it's really rude that you don't listen to us and that you put this garbage on here that we're only allowed to say one thing when we get up here. To me, that's just rude. We are the town. We are the people that live here in Pleasant Valley. And again, we pay taxes here. We pay your salary. You should be listening to us. The junk cars. Yeah, I think it was very rude to cut Carol off. She was trying to tell you something. And I think it was really nice of Keith to spend the time to try to have you listen to something that Carol was trying to help you with. And thank you for listening to what Carol was trying to say. And to try to get the board to say just one sentence of what Carol was trying to say. The signs. I don't know what the big problem was with the signs for years. When I came in, I used to get permits all the time to try to put signs up for Pleasant Valley Weekend when I got permits. And the rule that I was always told was when we put signs up, I think it was like $100 that I would pay for a sign permit. And then the rule is that within like a day or something after Pleasant Valley Weekend or two, I think it was $100 that I had to pay, and then I had to take the signs up like a day after Pleasant Valley Weekend, and then I would come back and I would get the $100 back, and that was it. And if I didn't pick the signs up right away, I didn't get my $100 back. It was like, that was kind of like a no-brainer, so I don't really understand what the problem is. I mean, that's the way I was always told about the rule for signs. You don't leave them there for a week or anything, you know, you pick them up immediately after
Point made.
Pleasant Valley Weekend. Okay. Something I've asked for in the past, the pantry. Do you guys know how bad our situation was with our food pantry in Pleasant Valley? SNAP is gone. Food prices are astronomical these days. I mean, our food pantry is in really bad shape. They owe a lot of money. I've asked in the past.
Can I make a point of order that if we're not going to allow Ms. Campbell to talk about multiple topics, we can't. If this is going to be allowed, then I would like Ms. Campbell to have more time.
Well, let's give Ms. Campbell more time because I really want to hear what this lady has to say continuing about the food pantry. If I've got hungry constituents, I want to know about it.
Yeah, these are people in our...
Really quick, to that point is I'm okay with, I don't make the agenda. But we need to enforce it. If that's going to be the route you want to take, it needs to be enforced evenly.
And here's the thing. Let's go back, okay, shall we? Because this is a workshop, number one. And in the past, the workshop, there was never a second round for anyone to get up. Never. Okay? So I've been around long enough to remember when it was. And
Yeah,
the
her
workshop
too.
was you spoke in the beginning and that was it. Yeah. So what we've done, we've taken the opportunity to give, no matter what the meeting, 2 opportunities. And the idea of speaking in the beginning is to speak about the agenda items. Your job as our constituents is to tell us your feeling about those things, okay? So that we can make a proper decision when it's time to have our discussion. And we do. We take into consideration, we have. If it hasn't been brought up enough times tonight, Carol Campbell has made many mentions about the junk car thing before we've gotten to this point. And to her credit, she was right on a lot of them, and we made those changes when the appropriate time was to speak on it. And she took the appropriate time at those times to do it. The second part in a workshop or any meeting is to hear new items, something else that you have a concern of. Something, listen, I am speaking at this time. Ma'am, I am speaking at this time. I am not finished. Thank you. I gave you your chance. So, the second part is to bring up something that is concerning the residents that is new, that maybe we're not aware of, something that we can act upon, something that we can discuss for the next meeting. We take notes and say, you know what? She brought up a very good point. Let's put it on the agenda. Michael does that all the time. I'm sorry, Councilman Reifenberg does it all the time. He says, you know what? So-and-so said something, we should really talk about that. All the time. Keith has done it. Frank's done it. Mary's done it. Okay? That's what that part is for. Now, in order to make this to be some kind of forum that is controlled to where it's open to the public and everyone can express themselves at the appropriate time without having helter-skelter, that's how we set it up. And we worked painfully to set this up this way. And it's starting to work, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, better than it has ever worked before. So to say that we're not listening is very incorrect.
So what's the
I'm not
problem with me
finished.
talking
I'm not
about the food
finished.
pantry?
No, I'm going back to the beginning statement, because this seems to be a sore point with people, that they don't understand that here's a certain point in time to talk about the agenda, and there's a certain point to talk about new stuff. And at the end, what we need to do is try to get everybody in and have one topic that they can speak on. If the food pantry was the main thing for you tonight, that would have been great. Food pantry comes up, you mentioned the food pantry. Everything else has been in the past for the night, okay? And I appreciate you bringing that back up. That's a good thing. But because we went on from one topic after another, now we have to open it back up to everybody to come back up and say as many things on the agenda or speak on anything. So, I mean,
I don't care where you're going on this. I'm
I'm trying to wrangle it all back in to where it was supposed to be.
So I'm not sitting here saying that I agree that we should only allow one topic, but if that's the stance that he's going to take on it, and Carol can't get up and speak about multiple topics, and other people can't get up and speak about multiple topics, then unfortunately, you've already talked about a couple topics, so it's unfortunate that I have to make a point of order because you're talking about something I want to hear about. But if that's the stance that the person running the meeting is going to take, then it needs to be fair across the board. So all I'm saying to the supervisor is that you've talked about a couple topics already, and his stance is you can only talk about one topic. So unfortunately, that's where we're at right now. But I will say, I'll add to his thing is the way Carol and I are able to get stuff done and changes is I hear from Carol throughout the week prior to these meetings. I get emails, I get phone calls. My business card that sits out front in front of the town clerk's office has my cell phone number on it. You can call any one of us, you can write us emails, you can do whatever, and that's how things happen. Unfortunately, coming up here and just throwing ideas out there and then not following up on them is, honestly, I'll be honest with you, is not the way to get things changed or done. And we try, but we need to be having these dialogues outside of this meeting, because this meeting is really not the place to be having.
And I've tried that too. I have.
Well, you haven't reached out to me, and I'd love to help you.
And I've done that too. Same thing with the cameras too, at the mill site too, and I keep hearing, be patient, be patient, be patient, and
We just have to be fair with everybody, and if that's the stance the supervisor's taking, unfortunately, you've used up a couple topics already. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we're at.
So I will allow to wrap up with the food pantry, because it is an interesting topic, and I am also very much involved and care about the food pantry as well. So please take that topic. That's a new topic that was brought up tonight. Please.
Can I also recommend that maybe, I know people didn't like it the other way either with the time limit. It seems like we can't make a compromise here, but the other way of getting around this topic thing is maybe going back to a time limit, that you can't stand up here for 20 minutes. That's another way of getting around it.
If we have to put that back, I'd hate to do that again, but,
it's just a shame because there are things in this town that really need the attention of this board and
it has the attention,
and the food
Kathy.
pantry.
You really need to email us as a board, or all of our emails are out there.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to help either.
I've never received an email from you, Kathy, I'm sorry.
Our food pantry's in trouble. No, you.
Can I make a quick comment?
Go right ahead.
So-
It's an open forum now, all of a sudden.
Well, no, I would like to make a comment based on Mrs. Kruger's comments. This board actually, the past year and 3 months, We've sent more letters for residents. We've actually done more things for it. You can't say we're not listening. We are listening. We hear you, trust me. And Carol knows the rules. She sat up here as a supervisor. She should know the rules. The rule it wasn't open to her. It wasn't an open meeting at that point in the meeting. I apologize that she doesn't like that, but that's the rule.
Mr. Veeder. I think I've heard this one. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Bower Park Gate, I think you should do something, you put money aside for it. I read in the paper, beach ball, volleyball, beach volley, and I see nothing, I've heard nothing about it, and stuff was delivered. That's two things. I'm afraid to say anything else. But I do agree that short things that come up, these things I notice.
Thank you. Anyone else? Not hearing any more, I move that we close the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Without any further business, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it.